This is The Reconnected Woman, hosted by Talia Sky. Hello and welcome back to the Reconnected Woman podcast. There was something that I saw the other day that actually broke my heart. It made me actually feel quite sad, and that was me on the way back from Hamilton Island. I was on the plane and I was a bit of a peep and tom. There was an older woman in front of me on the plane, and we were about to take off, and she was just sitting on her phone, like when the plane's parked, scrolling on Facebook, and up popped this photo of like a 1,200 calorie meal plan. And it was the most bland, boring meal plan I have ever seen. It was like 2 boiled eggs for breakfast, this tuna salad for lunch, just incredibly restrictive. Now, she screenshotted that and saved it to her photos. She was probably about, guys, I really don't understand how old people are, but I'm going to say she was between 65 to 75. So let's just say 70. 70 years old, screenshotting a 1,200 calorie meal plan. There's so many different parts that I want to speak to with this. The first part being, I think we automatically assume that as we get older, our insecurities go away, our poor relationship with food and our body go away. That's not the case. It follows you for life if you don't do the work. I have seen this with a lot of women because I have had messages from older women telling me they're in their 60s and they're still dealing with insecurities, body image issues, don't know what to eat, being incredibly restrictive. And I just assumed that as you got older, you started to care less. But the more and more I see this stuff, the more and more I realize we're all just our younger selves. We're all just that little girl, and we just happen to have an older body. And I think it's silly to think that everything just magically goes away. For some it does, but for others, you don't know what people are dealing with and the insecurities that they have with their body. And it just saddened me because I know what would happen, and I don't want to project here, but she'd probably go home, stick to that 1,200 calorie meal plan, not have her little chockies or her biscuits in her tea, and cut all her sugar out and just be miserable, especially in like the last years of her life. I mean, it could be another 10 or 20 years for her, but like still, that's not long. And it's like, don't be fucking starving yourself on 1,200 calories in your 70s. Live your life. Like, still nourish your body, but there's just a big lack of education surrounding nutrition. And this is something that I see. We're not really taught how to connect to our bodies, how to nourish our bodies, how to fuel our bodies. We're always taught to be smaller. The magazines are always like, here's the diet, here's the fat loss hack, here's XYZ. But like the issue is people don't know how to just maintain their weight and live a balanced life. I haven't dieted in a very long time. Like my last deficit was over 2 years ago now. Where I used to diet multiple times a year. And it's like the place that you should get to is being connected to your body and just knowing how to maintain with ease. Like that should be the goal, how to actually live your life, how to go away. Like I've been on many holidays this year. I got married last year. Like I did all these things and I just could go as me. And that is ease. And that feels really good to do. And there's nothing wrong with wanting to lose fat. And if she wanted to lose fat, like kudos to her, but there's ways to go about it. And that's the whole point of today's conversation is there is so much out there. Keto, paleo, carnivore, animal-based. There's just a million things that you can choose. Ozempic, Mounjaro, like we're not going to go there. But what I'm trying to say is there's so many diets that you can choose. And the diet that I think you should stick to is the one that you think you can stick to long term. Now, I look at myself. I had done Duromine, never lasted, lost 10 kilos, stacked on 12 straight away after, felt absolutely fucked. I did a 600 calorie meal plan when I was 16 in this boot camp challenge, stacked all the weight back on. That really caused disordered patterns. My mum did that challenge herself. A lot of the women did that challenge and they started binge eating. I've done clean eating, like fully clean, with like boiled chicken and broccoli, and started binge eating again. I've done paleo. I've done vegan. I did vegan for a long time. Not a long time, but probably about a year. To me, that's a long time for someone who did it just to be smaller. I've done diets where, yeah, I just ate vegetables, thinking that that's what I had to do. So there was a massive lack around education surrounding food and how to nourish and fuel my body. Whereas now I have found a way of living that works best for me. I think everyone should be eating low inflammatory foods just based in the world that we live in and based off doing so many blood analysis and health protocols. We have a lot of inflammation going on. A lot of the foods we eat are sprayed with harmful chemicals, pesticides. There's a lot of fake ingredients that cause bloating, inflammation, a lot of issues, and you're going to feel pretty shitty. So I think that low inflammatory eating is like amazing, but I also believe in balance. And so I have probably about an 80-20 approach where 80% of the time I nourish my body with whole foods, 20% of the time I have freedom and flexibility. And that's why I focus on the mind, the body, and the soul. And so people think that keto is this like magic way of losing weight. What tends to happen is you're cutting out carbs. When you cut out carbs, you're not having water go into the muscle, because when you eat carbs, you have water that goes into the muscle, and generally we're going to weigh a little bit more. So often when I increase my clients' carbs, their weight goes up a little bit. It's not because they're gaining fat, it's because there's more water in the body. It's kind of like when you have creatine. So what then happens is people lose massive amounts of weight, okay, weight, not fat, because they don't have the carbs in their body. And so they think, oh, this is amazing, this is working. But the reality is they're just losing a lot of water weight. And the thing is, you then start craving carbs. And it's like, how long can you stick to it? If you fucking love it and that works so well for you, keep doing it. And that is the key conversation of today's episode, is like, find what works for you. So if you can do that long term, amazing, do it. Same with carnivore. If you can stick to that and that makes you feel good, and there's some people out there that are like, that is their whole life, okay, amazing. But for the average person, they're not getting enough fiber, they're not getting enough key nutrients, they're feeling shitty, they feel deprived. What's going to happen? You're going to binge. So find an approach that is actually part of your lifestyle. I actually had this conversation the other day with a new client who was starting, and I just said to her that, what are your values? Okay, like, what do you value? She loves going out for a meal with her husband, just like me. She loves bougie dinners and a cocktail here and there. So there is no point her going into carnivore, because she then can't do that, So a lot of people love connecting over food, meals out, etc. So you want to think about, how can I incorporate this into my lifestyle? And that's where, if she just nourishes her body during the week, follows an approach that works, then that's really going to help her stay on track. But then also she's going to give her soul what it needs. And that is the key, is to find your balance. You don't need to be this fucking crazy superhuman. If you're not stepping on stage and competing in bodybuilding, like, it doesn't have to be that strict and that serious. So I think that people are severely undernourishing their bodies. Like, that's another massive issue. They're not understanding that they need healthy fats, carbs, protein, nourishment, and half the time you sticking to those types of food is really going to help you in other areas. And I just wanted to speak to that old lady and just guide her, because yeah, it's just like, when's it ever going to be enough? Like, when are you ever going to feel satisfied in your body or with food? You've got to break that cycle. And I just felt an immense amount of gratitude for myself for going through the hard yards and doing what I've done to get to this place, because for 24 years of my life, I spent it at war with myself. I struggled with food immensely. I was, just struggled a lot. Same with myself. I had so much self-hatred. And so I really encourage you guys to kind of find an approach that does work for you. Try different things, like, give your body what it's designed to have. I often think about like what our bodies, like how we were born and what our requirements are, and going back to that, go back to your roots, go back to what works well. We're not meant to have all these crazy foods all the time. No wonder our bodies don't work properly. No wonder we feel the brain fog, the disconnection, all of it. We're fucking bloated, we're gassy, we're confused about food, where it's like, don't overcomplicate it. Keep it basic, in my opinion, but then also give your soul what it needs. But if you are feeling overwhelmed with nutrition, it doesn't surprise me. There is so much out there. So just be careful with what you see on social media. Be careful with following what someone else is doing, because that might be something that works well for them. That might be their entire life as well, right? Like, if you're trying to follow a competitor's full day of eating, that might be really restrictive for you. That is for them to achieve a goal, to be on stage. There's no point following someone doing like a SIBO protocol because that's very restrictive and that's unnecessary for you. So I think the best diet is the one where you feel your best, the one that gives you your best quality of life, and the one that you can stick to long term. You know, it doesn't matter what phase I'm in, whether I'm in a fat loss phase, a building phase, a lifestyle phase, my meals look the same. It just varies in amounts or little switches from lean to full fat, you know, from more rice to a little bit of less rice. And that just brings so much ease. So I hope that you get something from this episode. And just thank you so much for listening. I'll speak to you in the next episode.